I help to demystify this question of publishing by saying that, look, there are really three options that you've got here. And one of them is to approach the traditional publishers. So they're the people who you've seen books on the shelves and they've been published by Penguin or Random House or Wiley. Perhaps Wiley, they publish a broad range, including business type books. So they're the traditional publishers. And the arrangement with them is that you need to pitch yourself to them. And what they'll be looking at is your ability to actually sell books. They don't want to take on a book that is just going to sit around collecting dust. These are businesses. They are run as businesses and they care about selling books. So the traditional publishers need to be convinced that you are someone who can write a book that people will definitely want to buy. Now, a lot of the traditional publishers, though, don't want authors approaching them directly. In some cases, you need to secure an agent first. And then, of course, it's the agent that you have to pitch yourself to, because the agent doesn't want to take on anybody who they're not going to be able to convince the traditional publishing houses would be a good deal for them. So that's one of the barriers to working with the traditional publishers, is that it's not so easy to actually get in with them in the first place. But some of the downsides to going with the traditional publisher is that you're entering into arrangement with them whereby they take over a lot of the decision making that you might have liked to have kept for yourself. And these are decisions about, well, specifically what you're including in the book, frankly. It's about the book cover. You don't have autonomous decision making around that anymore. It's about the book title. It's about what you have on the back cover. As I say, the publishers are running businesses here, and they know their business, and they take a lot of the control from you because they need the book to sell. So some of my authors just say, oh, absolutely not then. I don't want that. I want the kind of cover that is going to be it's a branding exercise for a lot of my clients. And also they don't want to sign away a lot of the revenue for sales, because what happens is the traditional publishers will negotiate an arrangement with you whereby you may receive something like 5% of book sales. Now, people like J.K. Rowling receive a lot higher percentage of the revenue coming in from book sales, but people who aren't well known at all are going to get a really tiny percentage of sales. However, with the traditional publishers, they are the ones taking the risk. They are the ones putting up the money to get your book edited professionally, to get a cover design done, to get the printing done, to do the distribution, to do some of the promoting. And by the way, they don't do an awful lot. They rely on you, but they might set you up with a book tour and what have you. But that's one of the upsides, of course, is that you're not taking that particular kind of risk. You're not putting up the money for things like editing and getting a cover done and getting the books printed and all of those things. So the traditional publishers, that's where they step up. That's where their value add to their authors is. The other downside, though, of the traditional publishers is that you will slot into their schedule. So there's none of this business where, often clients will come to me and they'll say, oh, I'm presenting at a conference in November and I want to have this book finished by then. Finished and copies in my hand to take along to the conference. Well, that is totally doable if you're self-publishing. It is very unlikely to happen, though, if you go with the traditional publishers. It could well be that if you're picked up by a publisher now, your book may come out in early 2022. So these are the things to think about. But that's enough said, I think, on the traditional publishers, because the sweet spot for me is the hybrid publishers. And this is the way that I help my clients, is that in a sense, my people, and I have the experts behind me, I'm standing on the shoulder of giants in a sense, because what do I know about publishing? I've only on my fourth book now. And people who have worked in that industry know the ins and outs. They have the layout artists on tap. They have the printing arrangements on tap. All of the fiddly bits about your ISBN number, your barcode, your registration of the book. They handle all of that. So in a sense, if you enter into hybrid publishing arrangements, it means that you are putting the money up front for somebody who knows what they're doing to manage the project of getting your book through the publishing side of things. So what they'll be doing is, you'll be answering questions of, is it an ebook? Is it a print version book? Do you want print on demand set up? Do you want your Amazon account set up? Those kind of questions you'll be answering. It's where you're not putting in the time of having to work it all out yourself. You're paying somebody else to do it for you, somebody who knows what they're doing. So that's the hybrid publishing option. And then at the bottom here, it's the complete opposite of traditional publishing. This is where you're taking everything on board yourself. You're doing that project management piece, which is you've finished writing the book, you need to get it edited, you need to get it really in the kind of shape that is going to represent you in the way that you need to be represented to get that solid ROI that I talked about earlier. And, there are tools, there are companies who can make it easier for you to self-publish. And I have some clients and some doing it literally at the moment, who are doing the layout of their book, for example. I would never, ever do that for myself. For me, there is too much that can go wrong there. However, I'm not like everybody else. Some people opt to do their own layout, to, get the proofreading done for themselves, to get the editing done, to get it set up for printing, to set up all of their own, their barcodes and what have you, their ISBN numbers. It can be done that way. So that there are these three options, and, quite different in terms of what it takes to pull them off, for want of a better word.